I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it already feels like home.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
Folks, this is an episode that is so big it requires both Marty and I to do the intro today.
That's right. It is a big episode. I'm excited about this episode, Mike, because these are two guys that we've listened to for a long time and I have a lot of respect for.
Local legends, Dan Ramey and Mike Smith from radio fame, but we're not gonna dwell on the radio fame because now what they're doing at Litter Media is even taking their voices to a different level. And they're really out there telling some great stories. And we're really, I guess, just excited that we get these two guys on. We probably will end up having them back on again because
I think so too.
The stories can't be contained in one podcast. So
yeah, and what they're doing is similar to what we're doing. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're on the same team.
Yep.
And trying to accomplish the same thing. So yeah, definitely there's got to be another episode of this. Enjoy
it and comment and share and tell us what you would like to talk to Mike and Dan about if we ever bring them back on again, because I think it's probably going to happen. So
yeah, I think so too. That was fun.
All right, here we go. Well, so normally when we do the podcast, we are almost the most experienced people on the mic when we do this, and we are way outnumbered this year. There is 81 years of broadcast experience in this room. And only one of it belongs to you and me, Marty.
That's right. I believe that.
We're excited to have Dan Ramey and Mike Smith from Litter Media. Dan and Mike, not in the morning. We're Dan and Mike in the basement. So now maybe they're Dan and Mike in the loft during the day, and now Dan and Mike
they come
in the
visit
basement.
us, and they find themselves in the basement.
Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Good to be here.
Thanks for the invitation.
I mean, it's kind of a big thrill. So, coming to...
Just kind of a big thrill.
Well...
not a big thrill, just kind of a big thrill.
It is, because I had to live in the shadow of Dan and Mike for so long.
Oh, wow.
I don't know about that.
I cast a long shadow from across the street when I was at the Gazette when, geez.
Ink versus the word.
That's right.
Written word versus the spoken word.
Some would argue that I had a voice for newspapers. So,
well, we had the faces for radio.
That's right.
You bet.
So, for those of you who may not know, and Lord, there's probably one of you out there that don't know, Dan and Mike, of course, spent 40 years apiece in the radio business. Dan mostly with BEX, and then Mike mostly with 94 Country KKJ and the various incarnations of what those look like over the years. And of course, both of them.
Which we survived some of those.
I feel you on that one. But of course, local sports was dominated by the two of you on the voice side, play-by-play side in particular, for a good 30 plus years, probably 35 years or so. So
I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and said, I listened to you on WKKJ all those years, all those games and everything. I said, you must be thinking of Mike, because I was on BEX with the Cavaliers for 35 seasons. What are you talking about?
It's amazing when you talk with people about that, and they juxtapose things or whatever. I remember when I'd been at the Gazette for like 20 years, and somebody said, in 1987, you made a decision, and I was so mad, and I was like, I was 1 year out of high school, so I think we got the wrong guy.
I was not here.
So it's odd how people stick names to things or whatever. So
start misassociating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'll start at the beginning, I guess, because, I'll start at the beginning of Litter Media. And of course, Dan, you were the first to sort of move out of the radio realm and then to Litter Media. Kind of tell us about the genesis of that. Maybe even kind of explain what Litter Media is, because that way people that don't have a familiarity with it will maybe hopefully lock into what you guys are doing.
I was the first employee.
Yeah.
I have been to other places before and started radio stations as part of an original staff in West Union and up in Columbus at another station. But stepping into video was a much different situation for me. Litter Media, what we do is we try to tell the good stories about what's going on in our communities, whether that be telling the story, whether it be featuring different individuals who make this a fantastic place to live. And we do it in video form. We also have expanded to using our social media sites with Facebook, with Twitter. Haven't done Instagram as much. We do have an Instagram account. There are some things on there, but it's been a while since I put something on there. But then I got to thinking back during the pandemic, as it was starting, everyone was losing their jobs, things were shutting down, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Right.
Because all I'd ever known was radio. And I was already getting the itch to broadcast again. And so I thought, okay, let's make what we're doing even more important. Let's share some information about things that are going on for the businesses in the community that have had to change their hours, had to change up their services, that sort of thing. So I extended that opportunity for people to share that information with me. Of course, I also gleaned off of what I could from what they were already saying. And I thought, well, let's put this to good use. And so we started a daily Litter Media Live is what it has become. And it gave me a little job security. I have to selfishly say that. But back when Ben Avery was with the Ross County Health District, he said, listen, you are giving us a vital way to share the information, to get it out there into the community. And if you need a letter of recommendation to your employer that you need to be still employed, let me know. And little did I know that the government at the time was going through and trying to determine what sectors are important. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, being our parent company, Litter Quality Propane, if I can throw a little spiel out there,
yeah, sure.
We're looking at, they were part of the energy sector. So they had a reason to be still open and still operating. And then to add into that, we were media. So granted, we were a different kind of media, but I think we started becoming, through the pandemic, a little more credible. People started turning to us for some information. And then, a year ago, last December, started talking about, let's check and see if this guy wants to join the team. Mm. And Mike coming on board just adds yet even another great layer of legitimacy to what we do and the integrity that it brings. And I know.
Somebody get a notebook that I can write this.
Got his hip waders on here.
Hey, we'll clip it.
Thank you. I got proof.
Highlight that we put out on social media.
I've got proof.
So just having that, it just helped us continue to grow. And, when Matt Litter approached me, I was sitting at a concert at Cincinnati, Riverbend, seeing Chicago for the first time, their 50th year. And I'd always wanted to see Chicago and finally had an opportunity. And I'm sitting there and I get this email from Matt Litter. And I'm thinking, okay, he wants me to listen to an idea that he has for advertising. I've done this before. And so I said, hey, do you want me to have the sales guy come with me? Because I'm not a salesperson. I'm talent, in regards to what we do. Mm-hmm. And so he says, no, just you. That's fine. I said, okay. So I drive over, go into his office, and I'm sitting there, and he starts telling me this idea of YouTube and what are we going to do for telling the stories that you tell on the radio when radio goes. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And so at the end of this, I'm thinking through my mind, he's talking about video, he's talking about this and talking about that. And I'm like, where's he going with this? And what's this got to do with me? And at the end of it, he says, and I want you to join our team and I want you to run it. And I said, Matt, you want to leave 37 years of what I know and start something I don't know? And he says, yeah. So since October 13th of 2017, it was a Friday, we posted our first video. That's been 700 plus videos ago. And as he described it, I just want you to build a library that people can go to, and just like they're walking up, pulling that book off the shelf and sitting down and opening it and spending some time with it. that's what we're doing. And we've built that library. And in the last year and a half, we've gone from doing just simple videos to telling news every day, telling things that are going on in the community, and why this is such a vital place, an important place in not just Chillicothe, but Southern Ohio.
Yeah. And so
that's the short answer.
What was what was the decision making for you to leave that? And I'll ask the same for you, Mike, because obviously, again, you said 37 years. I know, Mike, you were in that same ballpark in there. And I just felt this when I left the Gazette too. I mean, it was 21 years for me at one spot, a spot that I feel like I grew not only older, but wiser and grew as an editor and everything else. Like, what was that decision making like? Was it agonizing? Was it?
Well, let me tell my side first.
Sure.
Because Mike's is fresher. I remember sitting and asking Michael Linton from Accurate Heating and Cooling, and now Plumbing. I said, how did you know when it was time to go? And he shared a story with me. Marty Ford came in, had just started working at Kingston National Bank. And I asked him, I said, how did you know when it was time to go? And those two fellas, you, Marty, and Michael Linton, helped me in gaining spiritual sense around it because it was all God-driven. Yeah. And I thought to myself, you know what? I saw what happened to my brother Mike back in 2016. I mean, here's the most experienced, most stop it.
We'll clip these two bunches.
Here's one of the high-profile personalities that we had at the radio station. He's gone, all because of a bean counter. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, that's a red flag for me. And you know, God's showing me something here, and if I don't take it, then who knows where it's going to go. Right. But then that rolls us right into Mike and I had lunch together before we went on vacation last winter, and I'll let you pick it up from there.
Right after this. As Dan talked about, 2016, I'd been in radio 38 years by that time. And after a 9 o'clock newscast, two of the fellows from Columbus management were in the building, and I thought,
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, I had to do this to like 7 to 8 other people since 2008. So when they took me back into the conference room and told me, and I said, I mean, their faces were downcast. Mm-hmm. And I said, guys, don't feel bad about it. And they looked up and said, well, we do. And I said, I get it. But I've been in your seat several other times before. I said, I was just talking to somebody here the other day about how blessed I was to get to work for this company. I said, that's not going to change just because I got laid off. I said, God's been good to me. He's given me basically a career. Most people retire after 38 years. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm not going to go out here bad-mouthing the company. I'm thankful for what I had. So I was blessed, never missed a paycheck. Never missed a paycheck because over a year I had a severance that paid me. And there were some really dark times in that year. I was good with it at first because I just felt like God had something else he wanted to do. And I was totally all right with that. Going back to 2010, after I came back from a New York City relief bus mission trip, I just kind of started having a passion for people of the street, people who needed that extra shot of love, so to speak, from the Lord. But I didn't know what that looked like as far as, well, how can I get involved? What do I know about what they need? And it was kind of like between 2010 and 2016, the Lord was saying, you just keep doing what you're doing, but you tell people where you are with the vehicle that you have about the needs of this community. Well, 2016, the layoff occurs, and I work out, at a local gymnasium here in town. And that particular morning, I'd been to the doctor, and I said, I'm not so sure I need to be on blood pressure medicine anymore, because I notice when I stand up after sitting down for a while, I get kind of dizzy. And she said, well, you've been on blood pressure medicine for 15 or 20 years. Let's not just rush into this. Well, that night, I'm on the treadmill at this local gymnasium, and I had my contacts on that night instead of my glasses. And as I was walking at a pretty good pace, I was wiping my face off with a towel. And it's like I stepped into a cave. Everything went dark. And it's kind of like you're in that twilight where you're between consciousness and unconsciousness. So I'm out, but I can hear things, and I'm hearing this crunch in my leg as I'm going down. Well, I tore a quadricep, not a quadricep, but it's the what attaches the quad muscle to your knee. And that was terrible. The surgeon, the next day when they figured out what had happened, he said, I could operate on you today, but we've got to find out why you passed out. So they send me to a cardiologist. They put these monitors on me for 3 days and all this stuff. And I told him the same story I told my general practitioner. And after 4 days, he said, well, you've diagnosed your own problem. Stop taking the blood pressure medicine. Because what I didn't realize, this particular medicine that I'd been taking, it not only controlled your blood pressure, but it also had a beta blocker, which limits your heart rate. But when you're exercising, you want your heart to do what?
Yeah, go up.
I wasn't getting enough, even standing up, I wasn't getting the heart pumping enough blood to my brain. That's why I was getting lightheaded.
And there's still times we
take your medicine. Yeah. So I was basically laid up in my house until I got the surgery, I think a couple of weeks later. It was like 14 weeks that I was in a straight leg brace, which meant I couldn't bend my knee. I couldn't drive a car. Couldn't even ride in the front seat of a car. I'm 6'2", my leg's too long. If they had to take me to an appointment or something, I sat in the back bench with my legs stretched out. So for 14 weeks, I'm basically
immobile,
in my house. Yeah. The old expression, cabin fever, I know all about it.
Yeah.
And I started having anxiety attacks. I had never experienced that in my life. I'd heard about it. And it's kind of like, I've shared this with a lot of guys that I've mentored in the drug addiction program at Another Chance Ministry since I got involved in that in late 2016. In the past, if somebody told me they were having anxiety attacks, I'd have probably thought, get over it. Well, when you've lived it, it's more than just saying get over it.
Right.
Because, I mean, there was this horrible feeling in your gut that you just didn't care whether you lived or died. Had a great brother in Christ that goes to our church, who's a psychiatrist in town, and I had a meeting with him down at Paper City Coffee on a Saturday morning, and he knew my story. He knew everything that was going on. He said, "You're not crazy." He said, "This is what I think's going on." And they put me on a prescription. I think I was on it for about a year. And that was a big help, but also learning how to, when you get those triggers that make you anxious, okay, here's what's going on. You're not going to die. Right. This is what's happening. So at the time, as bad as it was, God, I believe, was preparing me for this mentoring work with people coming out of addiction. I can't tell you guys the number of times that these people have told me about their depression, about anxiety attacks. And it's almost like God was preparing me by giving me a little sample of what those fellas are going through. Wow. So no more, when I hear them say, I'm not thinking get over it, it's like God can get you through this too.
Yeah.
So I've been involved in that mentorship program since 2016. What a blessing that has been. Probably have worked with 18 to 20 guys since that time. Probably half of of them have graduated and gone back to victorious lives with their families, and most importantly, with Christ. Half of them did not succeed. Some of them even died from overdose. So there's kind of a high and a low in that. But when God was preparing me for all of that, he said to me, and it's just like he spoke it audibly, I know all of those who are going to live, and I know all who are going to die. But you need to be plugged in where I say, when I say. And when I was first introduced to at that time they were staying in what was a bed and breakfast just down the street from us where we're doing this interview. And there was probably a dozen guys there, and I was sharing this story. And I said, guys, I'm all in. I just don't know how I can help you. And one of the guys who I would end up mentoring, he now is living in the Philippines with his wife, and they have a baby girl, and they're just doing great things for the Lord over there. But he was there as a person needing recovery. And it's the first time I'd ever met him, Alec Wiggin. He said, Mike, if we need to talk to somebody that's been through addiction, we'll go to AA and talk to somebody. But he said, we need to see somebody that's a father, a husband, somebody that goes to work every day. And when he said that, it didn't ring a bell. But then subsequently working with these fellows, many of these people who are in their late 20s and early 30s now, they've been addicted to drugs since they were young teenagers. They never learn responsibility of just showing up for a job on time.
Yeah, right.
And he's saying, we need to see what that looks like. So going back to the radio station a year later, they asked me to come back. And I thought, Lord, what are we doing here? Why are we going 360 degrees? And it was like Exodus 3 came to my mind. When Moses, who flees Egypt, he spends time in this new land, and where does God send him? Back to Egypt. Right. When I'm telling Dan this story, when I came back, he said, but remember, Moses didn't stay there forever. Right. So I said, I don't know how long God's got me there, but for this season. Well, 2020. 2020.
Mm-hmm. Just last December.
Our radio company had started laying people off again. And we lost, some very talented people in Columbus and West Virginia and different places. And it's like, God, I can see this wheel rolling around. Sure. Again, I said, I know you can prevent that. I understand there was a reason for me to be out of work for that time. There were things you had to show me to prepare me for the work you were going to have me do. I said, you can prevent that from happening. You can allow it to happen again for whatever reason, or you could send me someplace else. But I said, if I could pray selfishly, Lord, if I'm supposed to go someplace else, could you just send it to me? 2 weeks later, my family and I are in Sanibel, Florida. I'm on my morning walk. My wife and daughter are riding on the bike somewhere. And Dan texted me. He knew I was going to be on vacation. He said, when you get back from vacation, give me a call. And I said, I'm out in the middle of nowhere here in Florida. Nobody knows who I am, so I called him. And then he laid on me that Matt said, call Mike and see if he would like to talk to us about a job. So we prayed through that, and I asked God to show me definitively, is this what I'm looking for or you're bringing to me, or am I waiting for something else? And it turned out to be a slam dunk. God said, this is it. And Pastor John Welch asked me a few months later, said, how do you like your new job? And I said, sometimes, John, it's like I'm diving into a swimming pool with no water, but it's like God saying, I'll catch you. So like Dan mentioned about going from only audio to now video, it's like you're learning how to do everything all over again after 40-some years. And that's scary.
You should have seen him the first 2 days of training. Deer in the headlights. Yeah. And you turned and looked at me and says, Dan, I don't know. if I made the right decision.
Well, and I told them, I said, hey, if this doesn't work out, no harm, no foul. You let me know. God will take care of it. Mm-hmm. We did a couple of different conference calls with Matt Litter from where he was located. And the neat thing about that, we probably talked business for 45 seconds to a minute and then followed up with 45 minutes of just talking about God, all three of us. Mm. And that was so refreshing. So, long story short, God had a plan, but as oftentimes with us, we don't get the blueprint out in front of us. Yeah. That's why faith is needed. Yeah. So here we are.
Well, that's interesting because there's the four guys sitting at a table here that all kind of had a similar experience. Like we left long-standing careers behind to go do a new thing. And for all of us, it was a learning experience from the minute that we took the second job, right? So like I think it's a powerful story in both of your regards to say, you know, especially after a long period of time to just step out and go, you know what, I'm going to go out and do this new thing. But then just being sensitive to, spiritually speaking, sensitive to the way God's going to guide and direct all those things, because we could all do it in our own flesh, but it would not be the right way to go. We'll probably make a lot more mistakes, you know? So I'm compelled by that. I think it's really, really interesting. And so now, with what you're doing mostly like you're doing a lot of the news stuff then, Mike?
Content for the website, yeah.
And then you're both still doing video pretty regularly though. How is Litter Media doing? How is it growing? Are you seeing better volume of views, and your website seems to be really, I think it's populating very regularly with a lot of good news. So are you starting to see some growth on both of those platforms?
We are. Yeah. And when there was a certain point where, and Matt's a successful businessman, and he asked me probably 2 years ago, he said, what do you think our 5-year plan is going to look like? And, you know, we and I'll tell you about the first 2 years, I'm like, you know, we're not making money here.
Yeah.
You know, but you're building a library. He keeps telling me, you know, and something's going to happen. And I told him, I said, well, you know, we've got littermedia.com. And all it was at that time was just a video player. And it was playing the most recent video that I loaded. And I said, I really think if we're going to make some type of revenue, let's use our website. And he agreed. And so we started putting packages together and what we could do for people. McDonald's was the first one to jump on board. We, of course, would land the really hard sell of Hometown Motors, which is one of our businesses in the Litter family of companies, and also classic brands for both Albany and Chillicothe. But that formed a base for us, a foundation. And since then, we've added several others who have climbed on board. But we branched out and started doing some other things too, like commercial production. Mm-hmm. You and I met just today out at Kenworth, and it was a chance meeting, and so I've been working on some projects for them. So we're falling into some things that I never would have dreamed of getting to do. And I loved producing things for our show and the fun stuff that we did on radio. You know, if you remember when Dr. Laura, we combined Dr. Laura with I'm trying to think of this International Star Registry. Remember that commercial?
Yeah, I do remember.
It was a spoof commercial that I did, and the whole deal was, you know, Dr. Laura saying, stars? You buy a star for Christmas? I'll show you stars. Here's a frying pan over your head, that kind of thing. I miss doing that kind of stuff. And what was cool was, as I've learned some about video, I've been able to have the creative juices flow again. Yeah. My dad was a mechanic. My brothers, mechanics. My son, a mechanic. My mom was one of the most creative people I ever knew. I did not get the mechanic genes. I did not get the building genes. I got the creative side.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if that came from me being the baby of the family, and Mom got to spend more time with me, and I got to go with her when she would raise money for the American Cancer Society, or she would go and she would be, she was my kindergarten teacher before Taze Valley had a school system that had a kindergarten grade. And we met in our basement, kind of like what we're doing now. But it
All
started
comes full circle.
Yeah, exactly. And I joked we broadcast in the loft up at the litter warehouse, and so we went from the loft to Marty's basement. Real quick. It's the greatest rise and fall
In one day.
In one day.
in minutes.
Within minutes, yeah.
But yeah, it gives me a chance to still have a creative bug, and you reached out and helped me do some of this too a couple of years ago when you took the first position here with the Chamber of Commerce, and you said, "Hey, help me with this presentation I want to make."
Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun. We did a cold open for the Chamber Awards dinner that year. That was sort of me trying to recruit Marty to come back and recruit Dan to come back and host the show, because I was in it, not consequential enough to do it. And Dan,
we even reached out to Randy.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it was just a lot of fun and I would say that would be the same thing that I thought of too. Like, when I thought about how to open that thing, I just didn't want to go there. Hey, good evening, everybody. Like, it just felt like a little stale. Let's try to inject a little life into it. And I think when you and I first talked, to your credit, you were like, oh no, that doesn't seem like something that I would do. You were like, okay. And you even made suggestions that I thought helped it. That whole bit where we did the where you were like, no, I've got a great idea. We filmed that part, and then that really just, I think, kind of closed things out on that cold open. So it was great. Feels Like Home, sponsored by Horizon. We'll be right back. This is big. Horizon Fiber Internet is ready.
Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network
With the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do.
Horizon is ready to help you do what you do better. With real people, real rates, and a real service.
Connect with them today, and the first month is free. Plus no contracts, no data caps. Call 740-772-8331
Or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe
to sign up today. And now back to Feels Like Home, sponsored by Horizon.
I used to do that kind of stuff in high school.
Yeah.
I wasn't in a lot of plays or anything like that, but my senior year, I think it was junior or senior year, took advanced writing and advanced composition. And we got to do skits every day. Mm-hmm. And doggone it, this great show that was on TV, which was really great in the 1970s, Saturday Night Live came about,
Yeah.
and it's nowhere what it is today. I'm not a big fan of it today, but back in the 70s with the original Not Ready for Primetime Players, and George Carlin, being a part of it and everything as a host and stuff, we were doing that stuff every week in school. And so when I had a chance to do something like what you were wanting to do for the chamber, I thought, hey, let's
maybe we'll bring it back again next year.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be fun.
It's going to cost you this time.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
We're in the money-making business
That's okay.
And I'll go cover it and get a free meal.
It occurs to me that, you both left long careers in radio. And, of course, the play-by-play thing is what I think both of you really were known for, especially I think that and when you guys worked together there a few years after when you were doing the Dan and Mike show in particular. You don't do that play-by-play much anymore. You go and you do games and do highlight packages and things like that. But do you miss the play-by-play side of it much? A lot of relationships get built that way, and so I wonder if you miss a lot of that. Mike, what about you? I mean,
I do.
The voice of the SVC, of course.
I mean, there's things that other aspects about radio that I'll always miss, and maybe one day we can incorporate some of that. I don't know, but I tell you one thing I don't miss is getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning on a snowy morning, and you got to get there whether there's a foot of snow or not.
From Pike County.
Yeah, I don't miss that part of it.
At least you had Route 35.
But you got to get to 35 before you're on it. Yeah.
And it's my understanding that there was a lot of snow out in Frankfurt today.
Yeah, it was like west and north.
Yeah.
And Dan, I thought for sure he'd have trouble, but they didn't have anything down there.
I take my granddaughter Paradise to school every day. She's a sophomore cheerleader at Huntington High School, by the way. And so I messaged her and I said, "Have you heard anything about delays or closing for Huntington?" And she's like, "Why? What are you talking about?" Well, she wasn't paying attention to the weather forecast like I was last night. And she said, "This is crazy. What are you talking about?" And so when we got to the school this morning and I'm dropping her off, here comes a car that's got a layer of snow on it. And I said, that's what I was talking about.
That's funny because when I was going out to Kenworth this morning, the same thing happened to me. I saw a car driving down the road, had white snow all over it. I thought, where'd that person come from? Alaska?
Yeah.
And then I
Ashtabula?
Yeah. So I was like, well, okay,
There's a little more as you went further north.
Yeah, exactly.
We back on the play-by-play thing. I've not publicly said this, but Mike and I just yesterday, I think I told him, I said, I really miss, if out of everything I've ever done, doing play-by-play.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that, we started in 2017 shooting videos of high school football games and then jumped into basketball. And I always wanted to work for NFL Films when I was a kid. I thought it was great, and I couldn't be the John Facenda, anything like that, but I wanted to be one of the guys with the camera in my hand. And I have been able to vicariously, through the high school games and producing these videos, have had a chance to do that. And I don't just put together highlights. I try to tell the story about what is it, setting the scene, the atmosphere, the cheerleaders, the marching band, all that kind of stuff, and tell the whole story. Mike will tell you, though, and he watched it for the first time this year, as we have gotten busier on the business side, it's been tougher for me to get those things done in a timely manner, because it does take a long time to produce, because I've got all these ideas, I've got all these camera shots and everything. And when I first started putting them together, Matt Litter said, somebody asked me, how many guys do you have on your team? And he said, I just chuckled in the back of my because I used 6 cameras at a ball game. And I was the one that walked to every one of those cameras and turned them off and shut them back on and everything to conserve battery and all. I walked about 7 miles a Friday night.
Wow.
When I was in the press box doing play-by-play, that didn't happen.
Right.
I stood in one place for 3.5 hours. But I miss the play-by-play aspect of it, because it was a lot of fun to get to tell the story. And Mike's done this. I've only got to do it once. To be able to tell that you have a state champion, and when Chillicothe won that in 2008, I thought my career was done. I thought, that's it. I'm not going to do anything else. This is the coolest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And I never thought it would lead to, the Athletic Hall of Fame at CHS. When I got that letter, I walked out to the mailbox one day and I opened it up, and Will Brown was the AD at the time, and he had signed the letter. And I'm like, he's crazy. What's he talking about? How's it? I've never worked for the school system. I've never coached in the school system. I wasn't a player. I never shot a goal. I never, made a touchdown, nothing like that. I never played in the band, so to speak, although I did. The alumni invited me back one time, so I did get to do that once. And they said, look down at like Article 13A, and it's your contributions. And having seen thousands of games and broadcasted those games, it was pretty cool to get a chance to be remembered in that fashion.
Yeah.
So that was really neat. And I know Mike's been more so than I as far as state championships are concerned, but you have to pick what you say, because you want to make it memorable.
Right.
And, I remember Chillicothe had beaten Toledo Libby, and all I could say was, holy Toledo, the Cavaliers have won a state championship. But it was a lot of fun. And those will be days but I don't know that I'll ever go back into the press box, because of having been on the sideline and enjoyed what being down in the action is like, and building the rapport with the referee crew and everything. It's a lot different than what it was radio-wise.
Yeah.
I've got many text messages from Dan. Don't lock the press box, Marty, because I've got a camera on top at Chillicothe. And so I've helped him gather some of his cameras and pack them up for him. So when he gets up there to get them.
And I used some of the shots that you produced when I was at Chillicothe games, doing a Cavalier game as our Litter Media game of the week. I missed that shot, but Marty caught it, and so I go to the scoreboard and I catch the replay.
That's my job, is instant replay.
So it's been pretty cool doing that. And we introduced Mike to that this year. And so I know it's difficult not to be in the press box.
My main task was just don't let them run over you when they come to the sideline.
Yep.
And I've only been, I've had contact with 2 kids. That's been it. I've been able to, but I stay in there. You got to get the shot, man.
Yeah.
You got to get the shot.
Not me, man. I played the game. I don't need to hit him, take any more hits.
Yeah, it's funny because before I left the Gazette, it was one of those last few Clinton Massey Chillicothe games, and Derek Webb and Brock Netter were double covering that game, so they were down on the sideline. And I went to the game, and they said, "Just come down and check it out." And honestly, when I covered games all the time, was never on the sideline. I was always in the press box because I've got all my stat sheets and everything else. And so I went down because I really didn't have anything to do. And I almost got taken out by a guy. Like, it was like, the first time.
Right.
Some Clinton Massey kid who's probably 6'2", 205.
Grain fed.
I thought I saw my short and unincredible life flash before my eyes.
Mike was the athlete, and I.
But I'm 62 now, Dan.
Well, true. But I was the band geek. I loved the band side of things. In fact, I thought that's what I was going to do. I thought I was going to be a band director, and so I really enjoyed the band, and that was the closest I ever got to the field during football season. But I will tell you, I was at Wellston-Jackson. This was Jackson and Wellston were playing, I think this is the 100th game or something like that in their series. And it was the last time they were going to play it in Wellston. This was 2018. And I've got my camera, and I'm thinking, you know what? The band needs some publicity too. And I want to do something more than just a highlight film for the game. So I walked on out onto the field with my camera. And I thought, I'm going to give viewers the look of what it is like to be on the field as that kid with your instrument, looking back at the crowd. And then I thought, well, if the kids don't mind, I'm going to get in their face, and I'm going to zoom in so people can see. That has turned out to be one of the biggest things that I do. And one of the most difficult things for me is the one band that I can't show because they won't let me on the field is my alma mater.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Wow. But everywhere I go, in fact, Payne Valley's band director told me, I said, do you mind if I go out on the field and shoot like I did for Washington Courthouse, which I try to talk with the band directors beforehand. And he says to me, I'd be offended if you wouldn't.
Yeah.
I said, great. Well, I'm out there. So it's been a lot of fun to put those things together, too. We call those Litter Media Extras. So you can find those on our YouTube channel.
I feel like you got early on, I think, you did a game one time where there was some incredible play. And you got it, and you made it. That might have been the first extra for all I remember. It was like an interception or something.
Yeah, that was Licking Valley and Bloom Carroll.
Yep.
And this was the regional championship game up at DeSales High School. And this ball gets deflected at the line. It pops over to somebody else. They scoop it up. It flies and kicks off somebody's foot over to another kid off his elbow, and Licking Valley catches the ball. So it hits 5 people. Well, the guy standing next to me, and I keep a live microphone on my camera at all times, he goes, "Did you get that?" And I'm like, yeah, I did. Thanks for ruining my crowd noise. But that thing went to, I think, 12,000 views overnight. Yeah. It just took right off. And then Kobe Marquez had a game-winning shot for Waverly at Southeastern.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That one had like a 2,000 view overnight. And what I liked about it, and I'm going to put some people in, I don't want to throw them under the bus here, but I'm at the wrong end for the game-winning shot. He's going the other way, away from me. But in my shot of capturing his shot, which was a half-court buzzer beater to win the game, I see 2 Waverly photographers. I see a newspaper photographer. I see another newspaper photographer. They're all over there. And in my shot, their cameras are all down. I was the only one that got the shot.
That's funny.
So it's been neat to do that kind of stuff. And one of the more recent ones was our video of the Christmas lights here, the Christmas light winners of the Chillicothe decoration deal there. And that has gone over 3,100 views just in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So it's neat to see those things. But I tell you, there's other things you'll put up and it's like they'll get 30 views.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you live and die by the views.
Yeah, the internet is a funny thing, man.
It is.
It's
But
definitely
the good news about that, though, is it's almost like instant feedback, right? So where you can go, wait a minute, I really thought that was going to do well. Why didn't it do well? Or is this something that we just don't do again? You know, like.
And I found that you got to strike when the iron's hot.
Sure.
You know, that shot with Marquez. I came back to the loft. I stayed until 2:30 in the morning to get that put together.
Yeah.
It was about a 3-minute long video. I told the story. I set the stage, all for just the one shot.
Yeah.
Heck with the game, it was the shot that was the big thing.
And that's all people were talking about the next day anyway.
Right.
Like,
And I know that when we stepped into this, Matt's like, you know, don't worry about it. Don't work on the weekend. Just come back and do it on Monday. I'm like, no, man, if we want this thing to take off, I got to be there to do it right then while it's hot. And that's been a big difference that I've noticed in a lot of these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, over the years, I spent a lot of my mornings listening to you guys. I mean, that's you were my news source.
Now, if you say when you were a teenager, I'm going to get up and leave.
We're not that far.
When I was 5 years old, I could
We're not that far apart. Like,
little Marty.
no, but you know, I think that is something that I've missed over the last few years. Not having you guys on in the mornings to get my news, but now you have your live stream that you do,
and unfortunately, you have to see us do it.
but that's what's changed. It's now
He
a
just
video.
closes his eyes. It's okay.
But it is a great thing to see you guys kind of back at what not my whole life, but a portion of my life I've listened to you do, and I think that people in this area they trust your voices, and so I think it's a great thing that you are doing these live streams and still providing news and quality news and things that are important to people who live here.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know a lot of people wish that we were on longer. That's the big difference, because now we are sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes 30, but when you can come and go and, well, I'm dropping my kid off, and then I get back, or I got to go in, take a shower, and then come back out. Dan and Mike were there for 3 hours, and back in the beginning, it was 4 or 5 hours, I think, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And so things changed as, we osmosed, so to speak, into what we've become. But people were able to, so many people we know through our radio program or having done the ball games. And I will tell you, being in the press box, not getting out there, a lot of people reached out to me. But when I first started this job and I'm out in the field, I could not get over how many people would say, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'm like, I have no clue who you are.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen you. But you have a relationship with me because you've welcomed me into your home every day, So
A lot of times it would be the person didn't know who you were until you start speaking.
Yeah.
Hey, you're the
Right.
Well, sometimes you kind of hesitate to admit because, well, what if they didn't? I remember years ago I was going in for a colonoscopy. The surgeon, I used to call his ball games. And just before they put me under, I called him by name, and I said, "Did I ever say anything negative about you on the air?" And he took the hose and he snapped it like he was going to really ram me through. So, but we had fun with that. So.
I had a lower GI one time, and Sean Choice was the doctor, and he comes in and he says, "Mr. Ramey, how you doing?" And I'm out at Adena Hospital. I'm being looked at. Well, he comes in and he says, "I've got some students with me. Do you mind if I bring them in?" And pops up my X-ray right there, and I'm like, "Okay." And the kids come in and they're like, "Do you know who this is?" And he said, "No, who is this?" "Well, this is Mr. Ramey. He's on the radio. You just call my ball games.
Oh, golly.
So it's weird how that stuff comes back and gets you. So.
Well, medically, this is definitely taking a turn.
We try to hit all of the businesses out there we can.
I don't know. Well, I don't have any stories to share, so I feel a little left out.
When you talk about like how difficult it was to try to transition to video, it's like you kind of a fish out of water. You're trying to learn all these things because you had done radio so long. I kind of have a similar story when I was at Horizon, and they're like, "Hey, we have this cable access channel. It would be cool to be able to put something on it." And I was tasked with putting together a TV station for a short period of time. And I kind of feel like we did some really fun, great things. And I had these guys to kind of listen to and watch to like help me figure out, okay, how do I make that translate to TV and for camera? But I felt like maybe we were just a little too early for that here in this area. Yeah. And I feel like your timing with Litter Media is so much better right now. Because I know we'd done some things for Marty back then. He had ideas, and we were trying to figure out, we were trying to survive as a business unit at Horizon, and like, how do we make money at this? But so I think it's great that, he finally figured out like getting the right people in the positions and figured that business unit out, because we felt like we were kind of early to the game and kind of missed the boat. So it's great that you guys are providing that for the area.
Well, timing is everything,
Yes,
and to have a visionary like Matt, he saw a lot of this stuff happening 4 years ago. Forget it. I wouldn't have thought, what? Sitting here in a basement talking on an internet show like this, never would have thought that would have happened.
Yeah.
You can't broadcast. You need a radio signal for that.
Right.
No, you don't.
Not anymore.
You got the internet.
Well, and I think, the other part of it too is when you leave the radio station and go to Litter, like, you think maybe we'll work together again, but probably not, right? Like, I mean, in some regards, it was sort of like a thing where you thought, I'm doing my thing, Mike will keep doing his thing, or maybe he'll do a different thing, but it won't be my thing.
Yeah.
And then here we are a couple years later, and you're working
we were
together.
together, 20...
Yeah.
Well, 24 years, but we were apart for a little while because the radio stations were sold.
Came downstairs.
So WBEX moved downtown, and WKKJ was standalone up at the top. And, of course, we have the great tragedy of 9/11 happened during that time.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were apart for that, so we've had separate stories we could tell. But I think the coolest thing, the testament that we've had is Matt Litter told us after our first show together, he says, well, the magic's still there. I said, well, thank you.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Some of the more memorable things that the public will recall, it's not anything that was planned. It was not anything that was staged.
45 seconds of laughter.
Sometimes we're just dying laughing. He'll say something, and it's like I'm sliding under the control board because I can't keep from laughing. And those are the things. It's kind of like the old Carol Burnett show. The funniest things they did were not going by the script. It's when they got off script. That's the things that everybody remembers.
Yeah.
And Tim Conway was like so good at that. And once he got somebody, once they got somebody broke, like once like Carol they broke her, then Tim would just he would just pour on.
Oh yeah,
like the one thing about the elephant, the trunk.
or the dentist with Harvey Korman. Yeah. Oh my. Yeah.
The Novocaine shot in one hand and then the other.
but you're right. Those are probably great moments. Talking about moments, is there a moment over the years that you guys were on the radio together that
you got another hour?
I mean, like,
we can go as long as we want.
Yeah, we're a podcast. We can do what we want. We're our own boss. But I mean, there's got to be some great stories that you guys have. But is there any favorites that kind of?
There was the one moment where we were slicing up the steak. One of the establishments here locally was serving steak for breakfast, and I said, let's take that. So they brought this steak into us. It's a 14-ounce steak. And so I'm cutting it, and no, you were cutting it while I was describing it on the air. And Mike cuts it in half, and I said, oh, great. Mike just gave me 7 ounces of meat. And we lost it. I mean, for good golly, it was, we could not recover from
I think we made a promo out of that, just us laughing. Yeah.
And all it was Dan and Mike. For 30 seconds. So,
that's great.
We did, I think, for 9 years, the Norse rooftop remote with Mark Harrington.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the late Tracy Taylor.
Those were some of the funniest. I mean, getting up there in the morning in May, it was cold.
Yeah,
it was cold.
chilly,
Until the sun comes out, and then it warms up. But the late Tracy Taylor, who was the sales rep for Norse, he came up with us on the roof. Greg Woods was one of the managers out there with Mark at that time. Mark was the one that had to stay all night on the roof. I don't even remember what it was. There's something about
there was a
plywood.
Yeah, there was no mattress, so they had sleeping bags. Well, on the rooftop, it's kind of uneven and everything. Well, they brought in a sheet of plywood to make it smooth for them to lay down. And and Greg Wood said something to the effect of, well, it was great after I got that half-inch of plywood, And so Tracy Taylor starts laughing uncontrollably. He's got his hands in his pockets while he's laughing, and he is losing control.
He's backpedaling on the roof.
Almost went off the roof now, and that made it even funnier. So there was a lot of neat things that happened like that, and it's usually something that had gone wrong.
Gertrude Beeler, you're talking about people who know us. Tell the Gertrude Beeler story.
So my first full week with WBEX, we were going around Ross County Fair. And so I'm taking along, Dan Latham had this Midway magazine, I think is what he called it, and it was to take highlights of what happened at the fair in audio. So I thought to myself, okay, someone said something about Mike Smith being the most trusted name in news. And so I'm running a play on this. So throughout the day, Monday, throughout the day, Tuesday, throughout the day, Wednesday, I have asked people, tell me what you know about Mike Smith. Well, he likes white milk with the chocolate chip cookies. His daughter's name is Sarah. His wife's name's Laura. He's the most trusted name in news. I listen to him all the time. All these different voices are saying this. So on Wednesday or Thursday of the fair, I am now in the floral section, and I'm talking to the two grand prize winners, the blue ribbon here and the red ribbon there, of the flower displays. Gertrude Beeler had set this interview up for me. And so I asked both of these ladies, and I can't remember their names, but I remember Gertrude's, and I'll tell you why. Because I say, can you tell me about Mike Smith? What are your thoughts of Mike Smith? And they go on and on and on about Mike Smith. And Gertrude pulls me aside, and she goes, who is this Mike Smith? And so that's been the running gag. That has been the running gag since 1994.
The Lord has ways of keeping you humble.
Yes.
I had a father and a brother, both named Mark. To this day, people still call me Mark.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, Lord, I get it.
That's great.
I will tell you, though, Mike has interviewed presidents, bigwigs all over the place, but I have the interview.
I'm envious.
And this was scheduled during his
news
public
sounding
affairs
board, yeah.
sounding board. It was the mayor's forum.
He
Joe
knew where I
Salsa.
couldn't get away.
And the only opportunity I had to interview this individual was while he was doing this. So I was recording the interview of my life with Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I was in love with her on the old Dick Van Dyke show.
As was I. Yeah. She and Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, wow.
They were the two that I had
Or was it
crushes on
Elizabeth
as a kid.
Montgomery?
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
The original Wonder Woman.
We walked into Cane's the other day and had lunch inside
There
for the
she
first
was.
time at Cane's, and the very first thing I saw
Linda
was
Carter.
Linda Carter. Well, let's jump right in. So it was a lot of fun.
When I first started at the bank, I was like 21 years old, and I was talking to all the women in the accounting department, and one of the ladies asked me who I thought was attractive, and my answer was Donna Reed.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
she
yeah.
was like, "How old are you?" I'm like, I'm 20 years old. Why is Donna Reed even on your radar? I was like, I don't know. I watched the Donna Reed show. I thought she was kind of cute.
In the movie, they were expendable. Also, It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
She
it's
is absolutely stunning
yes.
in this movie. Yeah.
Barbara Eden.
Oh, yeah.
She's 90 now, and she's still hot.
You opened the door, you should have never gone
we get to
down.
this?
Doris Day. I love Doris Day. Yeah.
And here I thought Rock Bottom was going to be describing medical procedures. Now we're on to...
Now our wives are saying, "What have I not had the Doris Day and Mary Tyler Moore?"
Maybe this gets. Maybe we have our
this-
first edit.
This is the first edit that we're going to have.
I see all of those women in my wife. So
That's all right.
Good
Okay.
answer.
I still
Nice
see
Good
recovery.
answer. Yeah.
when we started dating when she was 16, I still see those eyes. And that when I look into those
Damn
eyes.
boy.
See now. Oh, that's great.
Well, we'll be back with more Dr. Miller here in just a minute.
Who is this Mike Smith?
Dan's still asking that question sometimes. Who is this guy?
Well, I think from a community perspective, I think folks might have lamented the loss of your voice on the radio, but we can't argue with the results that are happening at Litter Media.
I
think you guys have really provided a great service. Thank you for what you've done for me at the chamber. Not only filming my cold open, but promoting Light the Park. And we did a couple of things during COVID that I thought were incredibly helpful for our community. And so, we're just excited that you guys were here and shared some time with us. And
Yeah, we appreciate it, and we were excited that you said yes. So
Yeah. Thanks for letting us go down memory lane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited that you think we're so relevant. So thank you.
Boss, did you hear that?
like I said, we'll clip the ones where Dan said nice things about you, and we'll clip the other ones for Matt.
thank
Let's
you.
do it that way.
we'll just put a montage together for him.
There you go.
There you go.
But guys, thanks again,
Yeah,
and
thanks for-
continue to do what you're doing because it's great.
Before we wrap up, I got to say kudos to you guys
Yeah.
because we have talked probably the last 5 years. Vic Clary, I think, was the first one who said, "You
podcast."
guys ought to do a podcast,"
Yeah.
and that was when Dan and Mike was coming to an end. And we have talked, I don't know how many times since we've been together again, about doing a podcast. And our idea was to kind of tell the old radio stories and all the experiences we had over the years that we were together. But what you guys are doing, thumbs up, man.
Thanks.
And I know maybe some people don't want to spend a whole hour with somebody, but if you got an hour-long drive, sure,
Yeah.
you're going to stick through all of this. But kudos to you guys and Andy Tomlinson with what he's been doing and Meredith and what she's been doing and everything. We're not competitors.
Nope.
We are
Definitely not.
trying to do what we can to tell the story of why it's so cool to live where we live.
Yep.
we just-
no one's going to tell it like the people that live here, right?
that's right.
So
Precisely. And we have tried to have a bigger footprint because when we first started, Litter Propane was our gauge, and the propane service territory ranges from Delaware County down to Portsmouth, from Springfield over to Athens. And I'm like, well, gee, how am I going to tell all those stories?
by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Impossible.
And granted, we cut a lot of our teeth on stories from people that we knew, that gave us, that trusted us to let us come in and tell their story. And so, we hope that one day we'll be able to expand that to Portsmouth and to Lancaster and at other points. It's just, people in Chillicothe know who we are and getting our foot in the door. Yeah.
You guys.
So those of you that are listening worldwide on this show, give us a
We'll
listen.
get to you in Paris here shortly.
Paris, Kentucky.
Before we end, I will tell this amazing story about the last time I was in the litter loft. So I go there to record the Light the Park promo. Mm-hmm. And number one, I sit down and I take my jacket off and Dan goes, well, that's not going to work. And I'm like,
And he wasn't talking about your physique.
And I said, what? I was sitting in front of a green screen, which I did not realize, and I had a green shirt.
And
So
we
that was
added
strike one.
we added the green screen here a month ago, thereabouts, and had sponsorship on the back of us, and now we put things of Chillicothe behind us.
Yeah.
And so, Mike, your shirt, I mean, it was as green as the green screen.
Yeah, it really was.
And it was going to be a floating head.
Claude Rains and the Invisible Man.
But the crowning achievement of that day, that was good. Mm-hmm. But the crowning achievement of that day came before because Dan gets a call from someplace in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't remember all the ins and outs of it, you probably do, but this guy was trying to figure out he had bought some popcorn or something from the
Bought some
Boy
popcorn
Scouts.
from the Boy Scouts of America, which, the kids here, they do what they can to sell popcorn. And the thing is, and here's the only relationship I can think of as to why he called us. He called our office because he did a search online. And
your name.
my brother, Jim,
Oh, that's right.
was a scoutmaster for 30 plus years. He passed away last December, God rest his soul. But for some reason, the Ramey name was involved with scouts, and this guy's in Wisconsin, and he is ready to call the attorney general because he has not gotten his popcorn yet. And it was a $20 purchase or something like that. And he says, I got to sue somebody so I can get my popcorn.
Pretty good detective work just to find you.
I had some serious Gazette flashbacks right there because I can't tell you how many of those calls I would get.
Oh, yeah.
That had nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
They just need somebody to talk to and kind of spill their beans to. And they were just kind of hoping somebody out of the blue was going to help them, right?
And you know what? We just need to be that ear for them to talk
exactly.
to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But guys, thanks again.
Yeah, thanks,
it was
guys.
a great treat to have Dan and Mike in the basement. You can go back to the loft now. And
Yeah.
We could have made this a two-parter. What are you talking about? A series. We'll come back next week.
Sounds good. You're welcome back anytime.
absolutely. We got
Anytime.
lots more stories to eke out of you guys.
Oh, my. There's some,
And,
yeah.
and
all about it.
maybe some more medical things.
I don't want to eke anything out medically.
Maybe we can talk about attractive TV stars of the 80s next time. Well, good. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
It feels a little strange, but I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it already